Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Chira Chari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Japihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhara Dhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giridhara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Chira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, today we will be reading from Canto 4, Chapter 16, Text 22. It's called Praise of King Prithu by the Professional Reciters. No, but I was told it is 21. It is 21, but maybe here 22 is written, but it's fine.
Here is written 21.
Yeah, 21. No, I'm saying on the board.
Yeah.
It's 21 or 22?
It's 21.
Yeah, that is correct. I was told 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Asmai Nripala Kila Tatra Tatra Balim Harishyanti Saloka Palaha Mamsyanta Esam Striya Adi Rajam Chakrayudam Tadyasa Udarantya Asmai Nipala Kila Tatra Tatra Balim Harishyanti Shaloka Palaha Mamsyanta Esham Striya Adhirajam Chakrayudam Tadyasa Udarantya Asmai Nipala Kila Tatra Tatra Balim Harishyanti Shaloka Palaha Mamsyanta Esham Striyadirajam Chakrayudam Tadyasa Udarantaya Asmai Nripalaha Kila Tatra Tatra Balim Harishyanti Shaloka Palaha Mamsyanta Esham Striyadirajam Chakrayudam Tadyasa Udarantya Asmai Nripalaha Kila Tatra Tatra Balim Harishyanti Saloka Palaha Mamsyante yesham sriyadirajam Chakra yudam tad yasa udharantyaha. Antaji. Asmai nripala kila tatra tatra. Balim harishyanti saloka palaha. Mamsyante samstriyadi rajam. Chakra yudam tadyasa udharantya. So, Asmai, unto him, Nripalaha, all the kings, Kila, certainly, Tatra Tatra, here and there, Balim, presentations, Harishanti, will offer, Sa, with, Lokapalaha, the demigods, Mamsyante, will consider, Esam, of these kings, Striya, wives, Adhirajam, the original king, Chakra Ayudam, bearing the disc weapon, Tat, his, Yasaha, reputation, Udarantya, carrying on. Translation. When the king travels all over the world, other kings as well as the demigods will offer him all kinds of presentations. Their queens will also consider him the original king who carries in his hands the emblems of club and disc and will sing of his fame, for he will be as reputable as the supreme personality of God. Purport by His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada ki jai. As far as the reputation is concerned, King Prithu is already known as the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of God. The word Adhirajam means the original king. The original king is Narayan or Lord Vishnu. People do not know that the original king or Narayan is actually the protector of all living entities. As confirmed in the Vedas, Eko Bahunam Yo Vidadati Kaman. Katha Upanishad 2.2.13. Actually, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is maintaining all living entities. The king or Naradev is his representative. As such, the king's duty is to personally supervise the distribution of wealth for the maintenance of all living entities. If he does so, he will be as reputable as Narayan. As mentioned in this verse, Tad Yasa, Prithu Maharaj was actually carrying with him the reputation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead because he was actually reigning over the world in that capacity. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnana-Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swa Padantikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Utapatakamanam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakham Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namosute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrinda Vaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayavicha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gradadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to speak about the glories of the Lord through the Srimad Bhagavatam. And if you see the canto number 4, it's primarily a lot of parts of it is devoted to King Prithu. Prithu Maharaj was actually a Shaktavesha avatar, which is a partial incarnation of Krishna or Lord Vishnu or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in a way, if you see, he was born from the right hand of King Vana, who was basically a tyrant. But from him, from the right hand of King Vana was born Prithu Maharaj. So we can never understand the intricacies of how the Lord basically manifests himself. It could be from like Prahlad Maharaj was born from Hiranyakashipu. Here Prithu Maharaj was born from the right hand of Vena, who was a tyrant. I think what is being said here when we read the translation again is, when the king travels all over the world, other kings as well as the demigods will offer him all kinds of presentations. The queens will also consider him the original kings who carries in his hands the emblems of club and disc, and will sing of his fame, for he will be as reputable as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if you see Prithu Maharaj, how he would be, what is the lesson here one can learn is that if you see the whole world around, we're trying to praise him or glorify him because of the fact that, it said that when the king travels all over the world, means when Prithu Maharaj, as the supreme representation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, travels around the world, when everybody will offer him all kinds of presentations, that's kind of, glory he had. And if you see, what we can learn from this is Prithu Maharaj accepting the praises is that if you eat more than what you are capable of, then it causes indigestion. Similarly, accepting praise from others when we are not on that level will lead to indigestion on the spiritual platform. I mean, in a way, you can learn some kind of lesson from that, because we are not trying to compare ourselves with Prithu Maharaj, but we have a tendency, if you see, to get completely, how do I say, become puffed up if somebody even praises us for whatever that we do. It could be simple things like service that we do to the Lordship, and then people may praise you, and then suddenly we'll feel, oh, I am like, so great, somebody has praised me. But what we should try to understand is that to not accept praise from others when we are not on that level, that requires honesty. So we have to be honest to ourselves, that though somebody is praising us, we take it as a motivation, but not get puffed up about it. We be honest about it. A definition of sadhu is tad vad visargo, purified men who are thoroughly honest. So we, of course, trying to go to that sadhu stage, and therefore we have to be extremely honest with oneself of the way we are doing our devotion, the way we do our service, the way we behave with other people. So if you look at, one of the other examples is Lord Varun not accepting the Saranagati of Rama. So when we make our experience as absolute truth, then that is a mistake. Vibhishan, the brother of Lord Ravan. Sure. Yeah, sure. So Vibhishan advised Ram to worship Varuna, who was the Lord of the ocean, which is basically one of the demigods, to cross the ocean for him to go to Lanka. But Vibhishan imposed his dharma of taking shelter on Ram and asked Ram to take shelter of Varun. Now, what is said here is to give shelter also there is need of something called as patrata, meaning the eligibility to give shelter. So, firstly, if somebody asks for shelter, you have to be eligible to give that shelter. Now, Lord Ram asked for shelter or permission to cross the ocean, but Varun himself didn't feel that he was actually eligible or capable to give shelter to Rama, who was the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So when Rama worshipped Varun, Varun didn't come out. It's not because he felt, that he didn't want to do this, but he basically didn't want to be in a position where he has to give a favor to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, what this shows that we as human beings or we as, devotees need to therefore understand, when we basically do our duties, of how to be honest to ourselves and to understand what we are doing. And because of this particular example, what finally happened is Lord Ram then ended up becoming angry with Varun and wanted to punish him, and then Varun came out immediately. And because he considered himself to be fit for this punishment. So that was, if you look at it, the glory of Lord Varun. So if you compare to Prithu as a leader, and if you compare this particular incident, what is being conveyed here is that firstly, one should know whether one is eligible for any kind of praise when one doesn't deserve it, and be honest to oneself. So there is one more verse, which Yama Uvacha, basically this is Yamaduta's idea, and Amaduta's reply to what has been said. It said that Yama Uvacha paro mad anyo jagatast tastunascha otha pros yatra vishcham yad aschatosya sthiti janmanascha nasyatotvad yasva vaschacha lokau. The translation says, Yamaraja said, "My dear servants, you have accepted me as the supreme, but factually I am not. Above me and above all the other demigods, including Indra and Chandra, is the one supreme master and controller. The partial manifestation of his personality are Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, who are in charge of the creation, maintenance, and annihilation of this universe. He is like the two threads that form the length and breadth of a woven cloth. The entire world is completely controlled by him, just as a bull is controlled by a rope in its nose." So, even though people try to glorify Yama and tell him that he is God, but he himself said that no, look, there is somebody beyond me who is controlling all of us, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Yama has been given this specific duty to control the human beings, because if somebody does something wrong as a human being during the course of his life, then Yama's duty is to ensure that he is punished for whatever it is. And that is the duty that has been given to Yama by Krishna. And that is what he conveys to the people around him who think that he is the ultimate because he controls everybody. That is what is thought, because finally at the time of death, it is Yama who comes and takes you back. So here Yama refutes that. He said that yes, that is a duty, that is a responsibility given to me, a service given to me by the Supreme Personality of God, and I am just trying to manage that service. So please don't consider me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and that is what he is trying to convey here. So if you see, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also, though he was in a way, the supreme incarnation of the supreme personality of Godhead in Kali Yuga, he himself used to chant Krishna's names always, and never used to, convey that that he was not God at all. And if you see in the Madhya Lila, Chaitanya Charitamrita, 20, basically Sanatana Goswami says that Raja Mantri Sanatana Buddhe Brahaspati Prabhura Kripate Puche Asankochamati. So Sanatana Goswami has been a minister under Nawab Hussain Shah, and he was undoubtedly as intelligent as Brahaspati, the chief priest of the heavenly kingdom. But due to the Lord's unlimited mercy, Sanatana Goswami questioned him, the Lord himself, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, without hesitation. He asked him, Ati Shudra Jiva Muni Nichachara Kemane Janiba Kalite Kon Avatara. So Sanatana Goswami said, I am a very insignificant living entity, though you could actually equate him to the chief of the priests. But he said that I am a very insignificant living entity, I am low and poorly behaved. How can I understand who is the incarnation for this age of Kali? This is the question that he raised to Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He said, and this verse is a very, very important reference to the incarnations of God. At present, there are especially many people prevalent in India who proclaim themselves incarnations of God or goddesses. Thus, they are fooling and bluffing foolish people. On behalf of the general populace, Sanatana Goswami presented himself as a foolish, low-born, poorly behaved person, although he was a most exalted personality. Inferior people cannot accept the real God, yet they are very eager to accept an imitation God who can simply bluff foolish people. All this is going on in this current age of Kali. To guide these foolish people, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu answers the question from Sanatana Goswami as follows. He says, Prabhu kahe anya avatara shastra dware jani kalita avatara taichi shastra vakye mani. So he says that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replies, as in other ages, an incarnation is accepted according to the direction of the Shastras. In this age of Kali, an incarnation of God should be accepted in that way. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says that please don't consider anybody and everybody to be an incarnation. What you need to do is you have to really refer to the Shastras to be able to understand who is the real incarnation in this world. So according to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this is the way an incarnation should be accepted. Srila Narottam Das Thakur says, Sadhu Shastra Guru Vakya Chitete Karya Akya. One should accept a thing as genuine by studying the words of saintly people, the spiritual master and the Shastra. The actual center is the Shastra, the revealed scripture. If a spiritual master does not speak according to the revealed scripture, he is not to be accepted. Similarly, if a saintly person does not speak according to the Shastra, he is not a saintly person. The Shastra is the center for all. So, unfortunately, at the present moment, people do not refer to the Shastras. Therefore, they accept people as incarnations, and consequently, they have made incarnations into a very cheap thing. Intelligent people who follow Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's instructions and the instructions of the Acharya, the bona fide spiritual master, will not accept a pretender as an incarnation of God. Jai Shri Nrsimha Bhagwan ki jai. In Kali Yuga, the only incarnation is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Imitation incarnations take advantage of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The Lord appeared within the past 500 years, played as the son of a Brahmana from Nadia, and introduced the Sankirtan movement. So this is known to us, of course, that he's appeared as the son of Brahmana from Nadia and introduced the Sankirtan movement. Imitating Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and ignoring the Shastra, people present themselves as incarnations and introduce their ignorance as a religious process. As we have repeatedly said, religion can be given only by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. From the discussions in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we can understand that in different ages, the Supreme Lord introduces different systems and different religious duties. In this age of Kali, the only incarnation of Krishna is Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he introduced the religious duty of Kali Yuga, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Going further, Sarvajna Munira Vakya, Shastra Paramana, Ama Sabha Jivera, Haya Shastra Dwara Jnana. The Vedic literatures composed by the omniscient Mahamuni Vyasadeva are evidence of all spiritual existence. Only through these revealed scriptures can all conditioned souls attain knowledge. Foolish people try to concoct knowledge by manufacturing something in their brains. That is not the real way of knowledge. So knowledge is Shabda Praman, evidence from the Vedic literature. Srila Vyasadeva is also called Mahamuni. He is also known as Vedavyas because he has compiled so many Shastras. He has divided the Vedas into 4 divisions: Sama, Rig, Yajur, and Atharva. He has expanded the Vedas into 18 Puranas and has summarized Vedic knowledge in the Vedanta Sutra. He also compiled the Mahabharata, which is accepted as the 5th Veda. The Bhagavad Gita is contained within this Mahabharata. Therefore, the Bhagavad Gita is also Vedic literature Smriti. Some of the Vedic literatures are called Shrutis and some are called Smritis. Srila Rupa Goswami recommends in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Shruti Smriti Puranadi Pancharatra Vidim Vina Aikantiki Harer Bhaktir Utpatayeva Kalpate. Unless one refers to Shastra, Shruti, Smriti and Puranadi, one's spiritual activity simply disrupts society. As you see of late, there is no king or government to check people, and therefore society has fallen into a chaotic condition as far as spiritual understanding is concerned. Taking advantage of this chaotic condition, many people have appeared and proclaimed themselves as incarnation of God. As a result, the entire population is indulging in sinful activities such as illicit sex, intoxication, gambling, and meat eating. And out of this many sinful people, many so-called incarnations of God are emerging. And this is a very regrettable situation of course, it's all over the world that is happening. Avatar nahi kahe, ami avatara, muni sabha jani kare lakshana vichara. So, an actual incarnation of God never says I am God or I am an incarnation of God. The great sage Vyasadeva, knowing all, has already recorded the characteristics of the avatars in the Shastras. So, it's clearly stated that the real incarnation of God never claims to be a real incarnation, and according to the symptoms described in the Shastra, one can understand who is an avatara and who is not. So, even a lot of people used to tell Prabhupada that you are God, and that is something that even Prabhupada then used to, there were some of the sannyasis or people under him who he expelled from the movement just because of this fact, and then he, of course, after that created the Pranati mantra. He himself used to say that I am the servant of the people who are disciples of myself. And this is what he is conveyed, and he basically set this example like what Prithu Maharaj did. And here Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says, Prabhu kahe chaturali chada sanatana shakti avesha avatare suna vivarana. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu replied, Oh Sanatan, you must give up your intelligent tricks. Now just try to understand the description of the Shaktya-vesha avatars, and he mentions further that there are unlimited Shaktya-vesha avatars of Krishna. Let me describe the chief among them. And he says that the empowered incarnations are of two types, primary and secondary. The primary ones are directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are called incarnations. The secondary ones are indirectly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are called Vibhuti. So here, if you see, Prithu Maharaj was the secondary or the Shaktya-vesha avatar, where he was an empowered incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there is another thing which, if you see Hiranyakashipu, he glorified Brahma and he has adored, and he told that Brahma, you are the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why he did that? It was more to do that, and he wanted to become immortal. He didn't want to be killed by anybody. And for that reason, he then propitiated Lord Brahma and, told him that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But he also realized that Brahma himself is not immortal because at the end of the millennium, Lord Brahma will also die. So this is, and at the end of the day, therefore, Brahma said that, look, you are asking me for this kind of immortality, but I myself am not immortal, so how can I grant you immortality? And therefore, he then gave him this particular, wishes that Hiranyakashipu had, and that's why Lord Narasimha came, in that particular manner, so that he could be killed. So anybody who could come and tell you that you are God or you are immortal, but you have to realize and be honest to yourself that you are not. That is one of the key things. Prithu also here tried to mention. And even Narad Muni had glorified Lord Brahma, as the Supreme Personality. And Brahma had said, what you say about me is not untrue, but because people not knowing the difference between me and the Lord say that I have that kind of power. Even Brahma told Narad Muni. Moreover, O son, it is not untrue when you say that I alone create the living beings. Ekau sajasi bhutani. Because if one does not know the difference between myself and the Lord, it will appear that I am in that position. And those who are bewildered by Maya post and speak in terms of me and mine. So that is what finally, even Brahma tells Narad. The ignorant jivas, bewildered by Maya, who is ashamed to stand in sight of the Lord, boast about I and mine. So, and are those who respect you as the Guru of the universe and is created bewildered by Maya? So he says that Brahma says that yes, those who give respect and receive respect without reference to the Lord are bewildered by Maya, who is situated at the back of the Lord, beyond his vision. Similarly, Paundraka also, you know him. He also accepted flattery from his followers. So these are various examples that are given. And there is a concept called as underestimation and overestimation that we do, So one of the things here is that one should not consider the deity of the Lord as worshipped in the temple to be an idol, nor should one consider the authorized spiritual master an ordinary man, nor should one consider a poor Vaishnava to belong to a particular caste. This is, for example, mentioned in the Padma Puran. Says that Arche Vishnu Shiladhir Gurusu Naramatir Vaishnave Jati Buddhi Shri Vishnur Namni Shabda Samanya Buddhi Yasyava Narakisa. One who considers the deity of Lord Vishnu to be a mere stone, the spiritual master as an ordinary human being, a Vaishnava by their caste, or the holy name of Vishnu to be like ordinary sound vibration is considered as resident of hell. This verse emphasizes the importance of reverence for sacred entities in Vaishnavism, such as the deity, spiritual masters, Vaishnava, and the holy name. And warns against materialistic or mundane perceptions of them. It is often quoted in discussions about avoiding offenses in devotional life. So this is, the concept of, as I said, over and underestimation. And there's something called as, Ritviks, which we also quote in our movement, where we say that they only consider Prabhupada to be the Guru. So previously they were flatterers. They did not understand the position of founder Acharya, and they gave the respect due to founder Acharya to others. So when those leaders fell down, they went into the other extreme of not accepting any personal guru. So there is a fault on the part of followers who flattered, and there is a fault on the part of leaders to accept that flattery. Oscillate between flattery and blasphemy. The very people whom they flattered, and now they blaspheme them. So this is what happens, that as I said, initially you follow Prabhupada, treat him as God, and then when he is not there, then you are following somebody, and if that person falls down, then you take to the other extreme and say that no, Prabhupada is the only person that I will follow. So one has to find the right balance between what one does in the path of devotion. And so Prabhupada was one of those people who introduced the oneness and difference of God and Guru during the first ISKCON's first Janmashtami in September 1966. Yet, just 4 years later, again at Janmashtami Vyas Puja time, 4 newly deputed sannyasi disciples of SP Srila Prabhupada were preaching that Prabhupada was God. So a few months earlier, they had been underestimating Srila Prabhupada's position, and now they were overcompensating for the mistake by saying he was God. So to uproot this impersonal weed in the heart of this movement, Srila Prabhupada expelled the sannyasis from ISKCON until they rectified themselves. So if you see, Prabhupada himself was so very, very particular about this aspect, and he ensured that, he sets an example by expelling those sannyasis who are going to the extremes, like what you call as underestimation as and overestimation. So Prabhupada said that there is only one thing worse than underestimating the Guru, overestimating the Guru. They have said, I am God, therefore if I am God, they also can become God. This is impersonalism. So this is the danger that one has, that when you start overestimating others, then you can overestimate yourself and think that you are God. And there is something called as FADS, which Prabhupada himself defined as founder Acharya disease. This means that carried by a guru grossly or subtly imitating the founder Acharya disease blocks our foundational relationship with Srila Prabhupada. Wherever founder Acharya disease exists, if you are not grounded in Srila Prabhupada's teachings, Diksha Guru forever, Prabhupada can seem an attractive cure. Unfortunately, that cure ignores Krishna's parampara system of manifest gurus guiding living disciples and cooperating to serve the founder Acharya's mission. So, no need to sentimentally and illegally anoint Srila Prabhupada as ISKCON's perpetual Diksha Guru when all Prabhupadagunakas already have him as our beloved founder Acharya, providing our foundational identity and relationship. Both Srila Prabhupada and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted everyone according to their capacity to become real gurus. Avoiding this founder Acharya disease or even the presumption of being a guru seems difficult. So, lecturing on the nectar of devotion on 23rd October 1972 in Vrindavan, Srila Prabhupada revealed the attitude of a real guru. A spiritual master takes his disciples as a spiritual master. That is the position. He thinks that Krishna has sent me so many spiritual masters. He does not think himself as a spiritual master. He thinks himself the servant. Because they have to be trained, Krishna has appointed him to train them. Therefore, he thinks himself a servant of the disciples. This is the position. So, full absorption in Srila Prabhupada's life, teachings, mood, and mission is the best prevention for this founder Acharya disease syndrome or for any guru complex. So, such prevention naturally precludes the sentimental fiction Diksha Guru forever Prabhupada. So, there are various other examples of over and underestimation. For example, cows are worshipable even for demigods, but they are killed in Kali Yuga. Similarly, in Vedic culture, the entertainers, dramatics were rewarded accordingly, and the Brahmanas were given highest respect for their knowledge. But in our Kali Yuga today, entertainers are practically worshipped like gods, which is overestimation. And the Brahmanas are not respected, which is underestimation. So, tendency of conditioned soul, Kanishka Adhikari, they glorify a person more than his level. And when he commits a mistake, then they criticize as if he has fallen down to a low level. This is what we see anyway of late. So the tendency of a mature devotee is one where he respects according to the level, neither overestimation or underestimating. So, and many examples are there in the Bhagavatam basically, which says word yathar hata comes many times, respecting according to their level. For example, Balram respecting the Vrajvasis, Nimi Maharaj respecting Navayogendras, and Krishna respecting the Pandavas, etc. And the NOI purport says surroundings make you duplicitous. Kali Yuga makes you act duplicitous in the sense it makes you accept an nature and occupation which you are not. On a spiritual level, our nature is that we are all eternal servants of Krishna, but the whole atmosphere makes you feel that you are the master and you don't have to serve. On a psychophysical nature, Varnashram, Kali Yuga surroundings make you accept a role which you are not fit. Somebody may have a nature of teacher, administrator, etc., or a mother. It makes you accept somebody else's Varna and Ashram. Paundraka's followers told him he is Vasudev and he accepted that. So elevating sports stars and film stars to the position of demigods is overestimation. No, not giving respect to the sadhus is underestimation. I mean, Prabhupada has quoted one example of in one European country, I don't know which, one player scored so many goals in a football match and the team won. So people said that the person who scored goals should be made the president of the country. So it becomes that kind of an overestimation. And modern educational institutes which produce dissatisfied, disloyal and arrogant Shudras are considered the top institutes of the country. This is gross overestimation. Not even entry to those who want to teach Gita, Bhagavatam, Ramayana, Mahabharata to elevate the students to the position of Brahmana is gross underestimation of those teachers. So that we will see, like Prabhuji does so much of book distribution and preaching. So people basically do underestimation here when they actually ignore you. And it's a very difficult thing for them to convince them to get elevated to that position so that they can achieve their spiritual goal. Similarly, considering demigods equal to the Supreme Lord is overestimation of their position, which is the second offense to the holy name. So even though one may be worshipping Krishna, disrespecting the demigods without recognizing the position is again underestimation. One of the 64 items of bhakti is not disrespecting the demigods. Similarly, considering any Vedic scriptures such as Mahabharata, Upanishads, etc. to be equal to Srimad Bhagavatam is overestimating the position of those scriptures without recognizing the elevated position of Srimad Bhagavatam. So although one recognizes the elevated position of Srimad Bhagavatam, criticizing other Vedic scriptures is underestimating their position. Similarly, making the living entity equal to God is overestimation. That is what Mayavad is all about, and considering the living entity as matter is underestimation of Jiva. This is what materialism is all about. So, finally, when you see what is important to understand here is that taking King Prathu's example, who basically was a leader, and one has to understand Prathu Maharaj basically gave us a lot of lessons. One, of course, he gave a lesson to the leaders and their followers. When Prathu Maharaj was coronated as a king, the professional reciters called as Sutas and Magadas came to sing the glorious qualities and activities of Prathu Maharaj. We see in present days politicians accept the praises of their followers, although they do not possess those qualities. And we see foolish people glorify a person who does not exhibit such qualities. Whereas Prathu Maharaj stopped the Sutas and Magadas to glorify him because he had not exhibited those qualities at that point in time. So in this way, it teaches to the common people they should not accept an unfit person as an incarnation of God. And he also teaches the leaders that they should not engage their followers in praising him. Such leaders who engage their followers in praising him for the qualities which they do not possess do not understand that their followers are insulting him. Secondly, of course, he also gives us a lesson saying that how to take care of the spiritual and material needs of people. So today's governments try to distribute food and clothing to the people when their term is coming to an end before the elections in order to get votes. So you see that, I mean, there is an election going to happen on Sunday and all kinds of promises are being made. But Prithu Maharaj, as soon as he was coronated as a king, he took care of the needs of his hungry citizens. Although cow protection is one of the most important duties of a king, Prithu Maharaj did not get carried away by earth assuming the form of a cow to escape his punishment. He was ready to kill the cow because it was a case of emergency when all citizens were starving of hunger. This shows that he knows the spirit of the Lord and not simply the letter of the Lord. Prithu Maharaj milked the earth and he satisfied the need of not only his citizens but also the needs of people all over the universe. And for him, personal achievement versus victory of the team, he was more interested in the victory of the team and not on his own personal achievement. And thirdly, then also he showed us the power of blessings. He conducted 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas just so that, by this act, he could ensure that the people get the blessings of the Lord. As well as with his expert leadership and management, he was able to engage the people and adjust the situation in such a way that he brings the best out of everyone. And finally, of course, there are two more things. First is to have complete trust in the Lord. Then he submitted to the saintly people like the 4 Kumaras who arrived in his assembly. And he ensured that there is appreciation for transcendental knowledge. Finally, of course, he had a conservative and charitable attitude wherein he used to always, nobody could estimate the riches of Prithu Maharaj because he kept everything secret. But when it came to giving, he also always used to give to the people. And he lived in a position of detachment. So he could perform with a lot of enthusiasm the austerities in Vanaprastha ashram alone, even though he was such a rich and big king. So in summary, what Prithu exhibits is leadership. And leadership is not just that you have become a leader or a king. You have to demonstrate the leadership by leading from the front. When you see your spiritual guru or whoever, you see him not because of the fact that, he's just giving you various spiritual knowledge or thoughts, but also the way he behaves in day-to-day life. You will only respect people who are able to demonstrate whatever they speak about. So if I today say that please do this, please do that, but when I myself am not going to behave this way, then you are never going to be trusting me. And therefore, I cannot say that I am a leader. A leader is somebody who sets the goals by his own example, by doing things himself. And therefore, Prabhupada became, our spiritual guru, because he always used to do things by his own example and demonstrate how to be leading people around him in the position of service. And therefore today we even revere Prabhupada even today because of his leadership qualities. The way he used to lead from the front and show to people how in this age of Kali, the chanting of the holy name will be beneficial to you, and he therefore created this particular sentence, chant and be happy. And that is what we also need to do. Take the example of Prithu Maharaj and try to, in our day-to-day life, see how we can do those small things to be able to demonstrate to people around you so that they get inspired and motivated to follow your path and see the benefits that you're getting in your spiritual journey to lead this life in this age of Kali by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you. Irgendwann werde ich auf Deutsch auch vielleicht dieser den Vortrag geben. Ich bin nicht so weit jetzt.
Ja, aber klappt doch ganz gut mit der Übersetzung.
Alles klar. Danke.